We're halfway home on this Tuesday. Welcome back. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks. Pat and Landrum live at Social Taco. Will be here until 2 o'clock. Molly and Conrad high atop Red Mountain in our studios of Jocks.
Have you ordered our chicken feathers?
I have not.
Okay.
You need to flag her down and make that happen.
All right.
I've noticed that a lot of other people have enjoyed the chicken feathers today, and you can too by coming up and seeing us here on the Taco Terrace. Here at Three-Man Front and Jocks. We're here each and every Tuesday. It's so gratifying to see so many new people that take advantage because, man, we hear you guys talk about it all the time, how much fun it is, and what we've had at least, 3-4 new listeners today up here?
Yeah, we got one he's a spark plug. He fits right in, but Adrian.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
Auburn/Braves fan.
Yes. He was giving Bama Hater the business.
Bama Hater might have met his match.
Yeah. Unlike Lugnut, when Lugnut went, toe-to-toe with Bama Hater, I think Adrian would give him quite a battle.
Lugnut was trying to be Conrad was trying to be respectful.
Oh, Adrian took the gloves off.
But Adrian didn't have to be respectful.
No. Thank you, BB.
Thank you, BB.
Taking care of us with some chicken feathers. A little disappointed she didn't bring us a cake today, but maybe next week.
I think she has something very special planned for the holidays.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
Okay, good. It's fantastic.
Have you ever jumped out of a cake?
I have not.
Okay.
No. I know Conrad has.
What is the process like for someone who comes out of a cake? I know that you're not in the oven while the cake is being baked, but how does that work? Do you just have like a cavity? They lower you down into the cake and then they put a topper on there?
Probably.
Can you tell that I have aspirations of jumping out of a cake one day?
That sounds like you have.
I don't like cake, but I would love to bust out of a cake.
Kind of oddly specific, kind of a need. I don't know. It's really weird.
Just trying to keep things spicy.
Last night in Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays over the Mariners 4-3. George Springer hit a go-ahead 3-run homer in the 7th inning. So the Blue Jays headed to the World Series. They will take on the Los Angeles Dodgers coming up Friday night in Toronto, Canada. First time since 1993 that the Blue Jays are in the Fall Classic. Meanwhile, the Seattle Mariners, the only team in Major League Baseball to never clinch a pennant, never made it to the World Series. NFL last night, Lions over the Bucks, 24-9. Former Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs, huge night. 218 scrimmage yards versus the Bucks, the most by a Lions player since 2013 when Calvin Johnson did it, 329 yards back 12 years ago. Seahawks over the Texans, 29-19. Jackson Smith in Jigba caught 8 passes for 123 yards, good for his NFL-leading 100-yard receiving game of the year. Tonight, we've got college football. Kennesaw State at Florida International, Western Kentucky at Louisiana Tech. I mentioned this earlier, Landrum. Heather Dinich from ESPN, she puts out every Tuesday morning the college football playoff, what it looks like currently. She has 5 SEC teams in the college football playoff as of this moment. Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. She lists Vanderbilt is on the cusp. So you think about it. Vanderbilt is currently ranked as a top 10 team, and they are on the cusp.
So, yeah.
And meanwhile, Bama Hater said he anticipates, 3 SEC teams in the college football playoff? That's what he predicted.
Yeah. Vanderbilt, though, that's really interesting because you've got Missouri still left. You travel to Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee.
It's not the easiest.
But could you see Vanderbilt winning all of those games? I could.
Yes. I could also see them losing 2 to 3 of them.
Well, part of me selfishly is thinking about my earlobes.
Oh yeah.
If they were able to make the run, and I've got to get the double ear pierced.
I still think you're okay.
Yeah, I do too. But now that I look at their final 5 games,
a little
very
bit more interesting.
Yeah.
So according to Heather, she's got Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. As of this moment, they're in the college football playoff. Vanderbilt is the next team that's on the cusp. She lists LSU, Mizzou, Tennessee, and Texas as work to do. And then she says
Texas, yeah.
She says would be Mississippi State, and completely out right now is Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Florida. The most interesting thing about that, with 5 teams, according to Heather, from the Southeastern Conference in the college football playoff, the Big Ten would only have 3. Those teams are Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. She feels like those 3 are pretty much locked in. They're not going anywhere because she lists no other Big Ten school, Landrum, none, as a team that is on the cusp. And we had seen some folks really go in on Nebraska. I'm not picking on Molly's alma mater. I'm just saying a lot of people showed love towards Nebraska until they got boat raced by your guy P.J. Fleck on Friday night. And so now Nebraska has been completely wiped off of any projections of them making the college football playoff. So it's interesting to me that no other teams besides Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, according to Heather, from the Big Ten, are in realistic consideration of the college football playoff.
So maybe all the clamoring in the Big Ten and wanting those automatic qualifiers? Maybe last year was the off year, and that this maybe moving forward is the new norm?
Wouldn't that be something?
I thought it was funny because I don't know if y'all have seen some of it too, but I've seen some Illinois fans on social media that are, I guess, frustrated or confused as to why they're ranked so low. And, you know, they've done comparisons with other SEC teams and things of, well, this SEC team there's so much bias that they're ahead of Illinois. Like they forgot that they lost by 53 points to Indiana. Like, yeah, I feel like that's the thing with Illinois, because I saw where Brett Bielema said something of, oh, yeah, I feel like, you know, our only losses are to the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country, but you lost by 50+ to one of them.
No, that's you don't get a make good on that.
No.
I'm sorry, if you lose at any point in a season, if you lose by 50 or more points to an opposing team, you should automatically be disqualified from the playoff at that point.
Remember, Ohio State got left out of a 4-team playoff
because of Iowa.
Was it Iowa or Purdue that routed them that night?
Well, both of them did, but the Iowa loss was the one.
They lost by like 30 points or something.
That Ohio State folks, they just wanted to it didn't happen. I mean, they were gaslighting everybody. It was kind of like Kirby Smart with the referees in the timeout. They were gaslighting.
Well, and why did Ohio State get in the playoff the first year of the playoff? Because they beat Wisconsin 59-0 in the Big Ten championship game, and the committee went, there's no way we can leave them out. They just won a conference title game by almost 60 points.
Yeah, it's crazy. So right now, 5 from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten. ACC would get 2, according to Heather. It would be Miami and Georgia Tech. On the cusp would be Virginia. She says that Louisville has a little bit more work to do. So Louisville's not even on the cusp, but it's Virginia. Big 12 would only get 1 team in. That would obviously irritate Brett Yormark. Right now, that's BYU. BYU is the team that has obviously separated themselves. Texas Tech is on the cusp. She says Arizona State, Cincinnati, and Houston, they have work to do. What about a G5 or an independent being that 12th team in the college football playoff? As of right now, she says South Florida has a 46% chance of making the college football playoff, and the group of 5 or independent that is on the cusp is Notre Dame.
Okay.
So how about that? Notre Dame, everyone thought they were left for dead, right?
They're never left for dead.
Right.
Why do we do this every year and we act surprised that Notre Dame is being mentioned after they win a couple of meaningful games after losing a couple?
Yeah, the 12-team playoff, it seems like Notre Dame will always continue to be in that conversation. She does have Alabama listed as one of the 4 teams that would have a bye. Matter of fact, the 4 byes would be Ohio State, Indiana, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Those are the teams with the byes. So the on-campus matchups, according to Heather Dinich from ESPN, will be South Florida taking on Georgia between the hedges. Now, wouldn't that be an interesting game?
Yeah.
Number 11, BYU, they would take on number 6, Miami. Number 10, Georgia Tech would take on number 7, Ole Miss. That game would be in Oxford. And number 9, Oklahoma would travel to Eugene, Oregon to face off with the Ducks. So basically Alabama would weight the winner of BYU and Miami. What about that?
That'd be fun.
Lug Nut and Bama Hater.
Yes.
That would be some good stuff right there. So according to this week's BCS standings, if you were to equate the old computer rankings, which that's the Billingsley, Coley, Massey, Sagarin, Wolf. You use the BCS methodology that was used back in the day. Last year was 2013. Basically, Ohio State is number 1, Indiana 2, A&M is 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, Oregon 6, Ole Miss 7, Georgia Tech 8, Miami 9, BYU 10. Notre Dame would be 11, and Vanderbilt would be 12. So Vanderbilt would have a higher BCS ranking than Oklahoma. Of course, Oklahoma with the 1 loss to Texas.
Yeah, and that's in reminding our listeners who are texting in, this is as of right now.
As of
Heather
this moment.
realizes what the schedule is and that you will get some of these head-to-heads.
Right.
Either this weekend or down the road, and it will work itself out.
Yes, this is as of this moment. Like
Right.
if we were lining up this Friday and
She's
Saturday.
not playing out the schedule.
No, she's not. This is typically – now, I will tell you this. Now, this is completely different than what Heather is predicting. But the ESPN, they do play out the season, the FPI. The numbers I'm about to tell you, this is them figuring up the rest of the season. They've got Ohio State a 96% chance of making the college football playoff. Indiana 94%. Alabama is the 3rd best percentage of making the college football playoff right now, according to ESPN, at 90%. Texas A&M next at 84. Georgia at 82. Oregon 76. And then it drops all the way down to BYU, that next realm of teams. You've got BYU at 52%, Ole Miss 49%, South Florida 46%, Miami 44%, Oklahoma 43%, and Texas Tech 42%. So you see the difference between Ohio State, Indiana, Bama, which is in the 90 percentile, and then it drops all the way down to the Oklahomas and Texas Techs in the 40%.
Can you imagine, though, 5 SEC teams?
It would be glorious. It would be fantastic.
But what – oh, just the crying that we'll hear.
Now, Conrad, you told me that Illinois fans were on social media bitching and complaining about their 50-point loss to Indiana and why SEC teams are ranked ahead of them.
Well,
is that right?
Yeah, they were just doing, resume comparisons. And I think one of them, for example, was, people were upset of Texas being slightly ahead of them when Texas has, yes, the loss to Ohio State, which they share with Illinois. But they said, well, we've lost to Indiana and Texas lost to a Florida team that's under 500. So how could we possibly be ranked behind them? It must be SEC bias, conveniently leaving out the fact that it's probably because one of those teams lost by 53 points this year, and it wasn't Texas.
Well, the reason I bring up Illinois, because according to ESPN, they have a 15% chance of making the college football playoff. The team that is right behind them at 14% is North Texas.
Okay, well, enough said.
North Texas?
North Texas.
all due respect to Coach Morris in the Mean Green.
14%.
Yeah.
And Illinois is at 15%. They are tied with LSU, Michigan, and Southern Cal at 15%.
I would rather see Southern Cal, Michigan, LSU than that Illinois football team.
Yeah. They also
53 points.
I know. They also project if Alabama were to win every game left on their schedule, for the exception of one, and that would be the Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare Stadium. So that means that they would finish the year 10-2.
Yeah.
So their 2 losses would be bookended in Tallahassee and Auburn. ESPN projects that Alabama would 100% still make the college football playoff. They would be 83% chance of a first-round bye and a 17% chance to host the first round of the college football playoff. So they're in good shape if they can traverse the schedule. Even if they were to lose a heartbreaking game in the Iron Bowl, Alabama would still be setting up pretty for the college football playoff.
So you beat a South Carolina team on the road this weekend, LSU at home, Oklahoma at home, whoever the lettuce game is, I can't remember.
Is it
Eastern
Illinois?
East Illinois.
Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
Is that where Romo went?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Him and a couple other guys. It's a very popular place for
I
NFL
like
quarterbacks.
their chances. Alabama's offense against Oklahoma defense is going to be fun.
That will be, especially playing in Bryant-Denny. So we'll see.
Might go under in that one.
You already calling it?
Yeah.
Why not? All right. We're live at Social Taco. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll go to Gainesville, Florida. Talk to Keith Niebuhr from Gators Online. Find out what the list looks like in regards to the next coach at the University of Florida. All that is straight ahead. This is Three-Man Front Live at Social Taco on Jocks. Twelve 18 here on Jocks. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum live at Social Taco. Molly Conrad back in studio high atop Red Mountain. Appreciate everybody stopping by and seeing us here at Social Taco. It's halftime of the kickoff sales event at Courtesy GMC in Trussville right now. Up to $15,000 off remaining 2025 Sierra 1500s and 2500s. The absolute lowest prices you're going to find anywhere in the state of Alabama. The all-new 2026 Sierras, they're rolling in daily, and for a limited time, they're marked at 2025 model year pricing. And remember, every new GMC comes with the Courtesy exclusive 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Get by and see all the great people there. Drew Lally, Josh Gargis, Tommy Rowan, all the wonderful people that are waiting there to serve you at a moment's notice. That's Courtesy GMC in Trussville off of exit 32 I-459.
A lot of wonderful people texting in on the Jocks text line. Best way to interact with us. We love your text. It keeps us connected. 205-834-9450. Josh from Huntsville, listening on the Ask the question, how bad does it have to be this Saturday versus Arkansas for Freeze to go? I do not believe that whatever happens Saturday in Fayetteville will prompt anything one way or another. Hugh Freeze loses to Arkansas. I do not expect that he is fired Saturday or Sunday.
I mean, we've been pretty consistent. I mean, it's been people you talk to, people I talk to. It doesn't feel like anything is imminent. Now, I will say this. Our three-man front Twitter poll question of the day, do you consider Saturday's game versus Arkansas a must-win for Hugh Freeze? And right now, 89% of our audience says it is. 11% says no.
I will say it here on Tuesday, October 21st at 12:21 Central Standard Time. I do not believe that Hugh Freeze will be the head coach at Auburn next season. Another text coming in. A question about Heather's college football playoff list. Doesn't make sense for her to have both Alabama and Oklahoma since they played November 15th. That game could be an elimination game. And you're absolutely correct, Philip. Could, but, again, she's just, as of right now, saying these are the teams that would be into the college football playoff. She realizes those teams are playing head-to-head. Someone had a question for Bama Hater. Ask him why on primetime Friday night the Miami fan base can't support their team. Why were there less people in the stadium from an aerial shot than former UAB game at Legion Field? Probably because all of Miami's diehard fans are like Bama Hater and they live a long way away. Why is that, Pat? Why do they not support their Canes?
I mean, up until a couple years ago, I know talking to a couple people in South Florida, they were talking about how amazing it was that, I mean, you know, to get from Coral Gables to the stadium, you literally have to pack up buses to get to the stadium, to get to Hard Rock. And a lot of times students would decide, you know, there's other options instead of going and watching a mediocre football team.
Hastings asked the question, any legitimacy that if Auburn waits until after December 1st to get rid of Hugh, his buyout drops $10 million?
When is that? December 1st?
December 1st. Landrum, Alabama is on daylight savings time right now, not Central Standard Time. Will you explain to me the difference?
I will during a break.
Okay. So we're not Central Standard.
During daylight savings time, we are not. It's DST.
DST. When do we fall back?
A couple weeks.
Okay. Thank you. Won't happen again. Dabo coming home. Change of scenery, Chad in Vestavia says. Is this the weakest Big Ten in the last 10 years? Feels like it. If Hugh Freeze gets fired, is Glenn Schumann a candidate or as a head coaching option? If so, do you think it would be a good hire? I really thought he was a top option for Bama when Saban retired. I've not heard his name as a potential candidate really for any of these jobs. So I don't know. Pat, have you?
I have not heard his name, no.
Is it possible Vandy runs the table? The end of the world for sure. It is possible. We went through their schedule. They got some tough matchups coming up, but
this again, it's going to sound crazy to some people, but you look at the last game of the season for them, there's a very real chance that Vanderbilt, Tennessee at the end of the year could be a winner goes to the playoff and loser goes to another bowl game. It's crazy.
Are you having to edit on the fly?
Yep. What jobs y'all see having the best odds of becoming open because of the coach leaving for a better job? Ooh. That's how he did that. I could see Tulane coming open at some point. John Summerall has been a hot name that we've heard for several different jobs.
Yeah.
Alex Golish would be one to watch.
Mm-hmm. You know, things have quieted down with the UTSA head coach.
Yeah, with Traylor.
Yeah.
Rhett Lashley, SMU.
Yeah.
Might be another one. I don't – if Rhett Lashley left SMU for Arkansas, is that moving for a better job?
What, Rhett from SMU to Arkansas?
I realize the conference perception. Well, he's got a pretty good deal at SMU.
He's got a great deal at SMU, but I also think that growing up in the state of Arkansas, and I think that there are, just like you always hear that there is a faction of folks that would love to have Gus Malzahn back in the state. I think what Rhett Lashley has been able to do to SMU and get them in the college football playoff, I think those folks that are in Rhett Lashley's camp, which I've been told some pretty heavy hitters, I think they will absolutely make a run at Rhett Lashley. Doesn't mean he's going to take the job, but I definitely think they're going to make a run at him.
Keep the text coming in, 205-834-9450.
Yeah, I mean, because Rhett, I understand, Rhett's from Springdale, and you got his wife who's also from Springdale. He's an Arkansas guy. I mean, he was a quarterback for Gus Malzahn in the high school system out in Arkansas. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's legitimate. I think you haven't really heard a lot about it. I just cannot, for the life of me, see Arkansas giving Bobby Petrino the keys to the candy store again.
I can't either.
I mean, that just how revisionist history forgets how Arkansas was an absolute laughing stock for what he did to that university. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, it would be the equivalent of, let's say, Alabama giving Mike Dubose another shot after what he did.
Well, and you also start thinking about staff. Is he going to be able to attract the top staff to go work for him? From the folks I've talked to, no.
He doesn't have the best reputation.
No, he doesn't.
Dealing with folks.
But you're right, Pat. I don't see how. Why would you not take a roll of the dice right now with Eric Morris at North Texas, or if Rhett Lashley would take the job? Why Bobby Petrino again? It never ends well with that guy.
No, it really doesn't.
It really has never ended well anywhere he's been.
No. Arkansas can do better than Bobby Petrino.
I agree.
I'm a firm believer in the people in Arkansas, and I think they have untapped potential. And you saw that when it's important, they ponied up and they paid Calipari and changed that trajectory of that basketball program. And I think they could do the exact same thing with their football. It just takes the right hire. Speaking of the right hire, where's the University of Florida going to go? We're going to go down to Gainesville and talk to Keith Niebuhr from Gators Online. He will give us the very latest on the coaching search for the Gators. All that straight ahead on Three Man Front.
Can I welcome back. It's 3 Man Front live from Social Taco. I want to give my well wishes to the happy young couple of Paige and Conrad celebrating an anniversary today.
Oh, how about that?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Do you know how I remember that? They got married on Friday night during football season. But I was traveling with UAB. We played at Western Kentucky on that Friday night. And that was when DJ Shaq Diesel was going to be the pregame concert, and he got there 2.5 hours late.
Oh, imagine that. Let's go down to Gainesville, Florida. Let's talk to Keith Niebuhr from Gators Online, part of the On3 Network. He joins us here on the Higginbotham Hotline. Keith, I hope you're doing well. Long time no talk. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. How you guys doing, man?
We are doing fantastic. I'll ask about your golf game a little bit later during this interview.
He's a scratch golf.
Later.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about what we knew was going to happen. It was just when it was going to happen. Take us back when you started hearing the news that it was going to be Sunday that Billy Napier was done.
Well, we had been hearing for about a week that was probably the most likely day. You were going into an open week. And really, people say, well, it's strange that you would get rid of somebody after a win, but not really, because once you know that you're going to do something eventually, what would be the point of letting it linger on? I mean, Billy Napier at each weekly press conference, starting with the loss after South Florida in week 2, you could just, the frustration was building, and you look, the end always looks the same at every school, doesn't it? And you know what I mean? The coaches are not looking great during press conferences. The team's sort of falling apart. And so even though they won the other day, you've got the open week. It's the perfect time, ADs think, to make a change if you're going to make one. And they really think that they can finish the season and get to a bowl game. And, we'll see. The schedule's still challenging. But, quite frankly, the back half of the schedule is easier than the front half. And so, if you looked at the numbers objectively, I mean, look, everybody that's met Billy Napier, not everybody, but just about everybody, seems to like the guy, right? And he was always gracious to me, and I can't thank him enough for that. But if you looked at the numbers objectively, they just didn't add up in his favor. 22 and 23, we know that overall, but only 12 and 16 in the SEC. Only 3 and 12 guys against Florida's big rivals. Miami beat them 2 times in 2 meetings by an average of 21.5 points. Okay, that's just not acceptable. Against ranked teams, 5 and 17, all 5 wins came at the Swamp. 0 and 10 on the road against ranked teams. 0 and 4 at neutral sites. So the numbers were not working in his favor. And then the offensive troubles, which I'm sure you guys have chronicled as well, each of the 4 years at Florida, each of the 4 seasons, the points and yardage numbers went down all 4 years. Think about this. In year 1, it's mostly the other guys' players, right? Now, there were some guys they brought in, some transfers they brought in, and some good ones. But the bulk of the offensive players were Dan Mullen's players. And as the years went on, it became more of Billy Napier's players, and the numbers got worse as the team looked more like what he wanted it to look like. So there was nothing you could hang your hat on. So I know you asked one small question, and I answered a bunch of things there, but it was trending this way after the USF game. That was the unforgivable sin, and then it was really just a matter of time.
Sensing the Florida folks that listen to our show that we interact with, and just watching what has transpired recently with Billy Napier in that program, Keith, it feels like Florida folks are desperate, and maybe the people that matter are desperate to make a Grand Slam type of hire, not going a repeat of what they got in Billy Napier or a coach from the non-Power 4 ranks.
Yeah.
What is your understanding about what Florida is prepared to do? Are we talking about handing over the keys to the kingdom, record contract? What are you hearing?
Well, I don't have any numbers, but they have made it clear that they're going to do what they think it falls into the category of whatever it takes, right? So they're willing to pay top dollars. People say, well, why wasn't Billy Napier making more money? Well, he came from Louisiana. I mean, if I go to the New York Times tomorrow, they're not going to pay me $600,000 a year. They're going to pay me a little bit more than I'd be making right now, right? I mean, you don't pay somebody more than what the market dictates. Had Billy Napier come to Florida from Clemson, let's say, he'd be making $12 million a year. They've got the money. They've got the money for the buyout, obviously, and that's not going to come cheap. So they're willing to go big, and they've made it clear, Scott Strickland, the athletic director, that they'd like somebody that has got some real major conference experience as a head coach. And I think everybody knows what that means. That means a Lane Kiffin. That means a Eli Drinkwitz, a Jeff Brom, a Marcus Freeman. That's going to be the goal. Now, historically, that is a little bit of a change in direction for Florida. If you go back years and years and years, I'm talking go back 65 years, they've had a clear blueprint for what they like. They've almost always hired up-and-comers, almost always, in basketball too. In fact, I actually correctly, I got to toot my own horn here, projected Todd Golden as a candidate even before he was, because they had a clear pattern of what they do to hire. And at Florida, it's always been younger guys on the way up. Urban Meyer, 38, 39 years old from Utah, on the way up. Doug Dickey, actually he was from Tennessee, but Ray Graves was a defensive assistant at Georgia Tech. It's often been a guy on his way up, but this time they want the big world, already been somewhat under the microscope type of experience. Now, again, what you want and what you get sometimes aren't always the same thing, but that's the starting point.
Joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline from Gators Online, part of the On3 Network, Keith Niebuhr. Keith, you know recruiting is about as good as anybody in the business, and I'm just curious, Billy Napier and those relationships and his recruiting, the use of the transfer portal, what kind of ultimate grade would you give him as you look in your rearview mirror in regards to his status there in Gainesville?
Well, I think the roster's a little bit better. I don't think a lot better, but I think a little bit. Remember, look, his first year they had Anthony Richardson, and even though he hasn't been a very good player in the NFL, he was a top 5 draft pick. So they were left behind some talent. Excuse me, but overall, it's hard to say. So let's look at this. The 4 classes that he recruited, the first one was that transitional year. That's never going to be that great because you're getting in late in the cycle. The last 2 years, they had the 10th ranked class. So on the surface, man, you would agree that sounds pretty good, right? Now, Of course, you guys are in Alabama, so 10th of the country ain't so great. But overall, you'd say most schools would be happy with the number 10 class. However, dig deeper. That's only number 7 both of those years. So the 24 class and the 25 class, 10th overall in the country, 7th in the SEC. 7th in the SEC. That's still not where it needed to be. Okay, so you're getting in good players. You're getting in quality players. But I don't know that they recruited nearly well enough on the line of scrimmage, quite frankly, if we're being totally honest. Now, that's from the high school rank. So good, but not elite. That's what I would say. So how about a B-, right? Through the portal, some really good finds, some good individual finds. Osiris Torrance, All-American, first-team All-American, came as an offensive lineman, came into Florida from Louisiana with Billy Napier. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver, first-round draft pick of the San Francisco 49ers. Shamir DK, very good player. Just not enough of them. The last cycle, they only signed 6 transfers because their big deal was roster retention. They thought they've recruited so well, they've developed so well, let's keep the guys that they got and bring in 6, 7 guys. And that's what they did, and you see how that turned out. So I think their evaluations in the transfer portal were very good. They just didn't sign enough of them. I mean, the transfer portal, guys, is like the NCAA is allowing you to rebuild but you don't just have to fill in holes. If you got a right tackle that's just okay, let's say, you go get competition for that guy. And they didn't really want to do that, quite frankly. Now, I don't know whether it was a financial thing. I don't think so. I think maybe a little bit. No school's got unlimited money, but I don't think they brought in enough guys. I mean, just you look at their quarterback situation, they just don't have many guys back there that are ready to go. The defensive secondary, they've had an unbelievable amount of injuries this year, and now are having to play one guy's a former walk-on. They're just thin, and so I think they upgraded the roster, but maybe not enough. I think most schools are using the portal more than they used it. I don't think you got to build your whole team through it, but a little bit more. You know what I mean? A little bit more. So let's say B- there too. Maybe C+ in the portal.
Keith, and going back to, and this kind of falls into the next coach and who Florida targets. Lane Kiffin, that's the number 1 name that we see at the top. I'm playing devil's advocate here, and you're an objective guy. Why would Lane Kiffin leave Oxford for Gainesville this day and age, and given what the money is, facilities, all of that, it's really changed with NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo on Ole Miss. I'm not that guy, okay? I've been there. I love the place. Beautiful place, beautiful town, great program. But I've heard some people make the argument that he could stay at Ole Miss. It's the expectations aren't as high. That's what you're holding on to, that the expectations aren't as high. That's a good thing. I don't know any alpha in any industry that wants to go somewhere where there aren't high expectations. So that's where I start with it, right there. Yes, the expectations are higher in Gainesville, but that's what these guys want. Florida has them. Look, if we talk to people that don't have any dog in the fight, and I do. I try to be as impartial as I can, but I went to the University of Florida, and I covered the University of Florida. Now let's go talk to people that don't have any dog in the fight, and let's get them to ask them, where do you think you can win more? Okay, Ole Miss has been better in the last 5 years, but they're better because of Ole Miss. I think that's what because of Lane Kiffin. I think that's what they would tell you. Historically, Ole Miss hasn't won an SEC title since the 1960s, early 60s, since before integration. Florida's won 8 SEC titles since 1991. The NIL world, okay, they've got money, but yet, did you notice that Florida still finished higher than Ole Miss in the recruiting rankings the last few years? I think that's a little bit telling. It's still a little bit easier to recruit at Florida, to get people there. You're in that area. You're also under the microscope. A lot of these guys, like we said, are alpha coaches. They like to be under the microscope. They like to be in the spotlight. And then, there's just a few other reasons. I think most NFL people would tell you that the Florida roster, even right now, probably has more NFL talent. So than Ole Miss. So even though Ole Miss is better on the field, is it because it's Ole Miss or is it because it's Lane Kiffin? I don't know. You can make arguments for both. I know what people want me to say. They want me to stick up for Florida. And, yeah, look, do I think it's a better job? I do. But does that mean I don't think Ole Miss is a great job? Not at all. I think it's a fantastic job. I think they're both good. It's really going to be up to what he wants to do. Would he feel more comfortable at Ole Miss? Maybe. But, again, I go back to what I said at the start. I don't think when you say the expectations are lower, it's the flex, as they say, that maybe you think it is. Because these guys, the Steve Spurriers, the Urban Meyers, the Nick Sabans, the Kalen DeBoers, they want to be in the spotlight, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. Now, again, that doesn't mean he's going to do this thing. We don't know which direction it's going to go. He's in a no-lose situation as far as I'm concerned, a no-lose situation.
All right, Keith, before we let you go, I did want to touch on something because you covered Brian Harsin and the Auburn football program for many years.
I love the instant
Hey, can you give me a little warning? I mean, come on, guys.
Well, I just ate.
Well, the reason I bring this up because we've tried to explain this on the show, Landrum and I, because we're both heavily involved in high school football in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
And so you're the recruiting expert, and you were covering Auburn during the Harsin era that I'm sure you want to forget, but just for the audience, just remind everybody how bad he was at recruiting and why Auburn currently might be in the situation they're in under Hugh Freeze because of what wasn't done under Brian Harsin.
Well, hold on. I might need to call my shrink and get a lifeline. But I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this stuff. But, no, I don't have any ill will toward Brian Harsin. Again, he was nice to me personally. But there were so many red flags. Okay, so he got the job, and we would reach out. As soon as he got the job, every day we're calling the commitments and other recruits. Have you heard from him? Have you heard from him? I mean, it was 10 days had gone by before even one of us had said they'd heard from him. And I think from the start, that was a major red flag. What are you doing on all these flights back and forth between Boise and Auburn? Why can't you set aside a little bit of time to call every recruit real quick, even if it's just 5 minutes, introduce yourself, that kind of stuff. So I thought that was a bad way to start showing a good bit of arrogance from the get-go. And I know you're busy. I know you're trying to put together a staff, but you're not going to put together a staff in 3 days. But in 3 days, you could call all these recruits, say hi to mom and dad and grandpa and Uncle Joe, and really start laying the foundation for that stuff. You can do things with high school coaches. We heard from many high school coaches they didn't have any relationship with him or, quite frankly, a lot of the people that work there. And I think, again, in the state of Alabama, that is more critical maybe than in just about any state. You want high school coaches to know who you are and to respect you and to like you and to make them feel like – the state of Texas is the same way. To make them feel like they're part of this. They're invested in this too. Hey, you may be an Alabama guy and I'm the new Auburn coach, but I want you to know that we're going to take care of your kid that's at my school. And there just wasn't any kind of feeling like that at all from the start. And they really, truly felt they could out-evaluate people. They thought they could go in there and when I say they, I mean him, quite frankly, that he could go in there and sort of outsmart people. And I've had other people that worked in the building say that's exactly what he thought, that these SEC guys, man, they weren't that smart, and he could outsmart them. And that wasn't just on the football field. That was at everything.
No.
And it just doesn't work that way, and it created a real hole for Hugh Freeze. I'm not defending. Look, Hugh Freeze, in my opinion, he's 0 for 3 on quarterbacks right now. Now, he's only had 2 starters, but I mean, he's had 3 seasons, and they've had bad quarterback play each season. That's on him. But he did come into a situation that was quite a hole. I don't think Billy Napier had that big of a hole from which to climb out of. It wasn't a great one, but it wasn't nearly as dramatic and deep as Brian Harson's hole that was left for Hugh Freeze.
Well, Keith, listen, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you, and we will definitely be checking back in with you about the Florida situation. Best of luck, and we hope to catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, thanks. I hope any of that made any sense at all.
No, it did.
I appreciate you.
Great.
Appreciate you guys having me on. All right, y'all take care. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. That's Keith Niebuhr joining us from Gators Online. More three-man front on Jocks. Welcome back in. It's three-man front. We're live at Social Taco. Man, what a great show. If you missed any of our interviews, you can download those at the Three-Man Front podcast. We started out Mike Griffith. He did not disappoint whatsoever. Dwyer Brown, an actor from Field of Dreams who's going to be in town on Sunday at the Rickwood Field Home Run Derby. That was a great interview. Very emotional story he told us about his father passing away and him filming the movie just days after his father passed away. Eric G. from 92.9 The Ticket in Fayetteville, Arkansas, gave us a preview of Arkansas and Auburn. What was his score prediction?
35-28, Hogs.
35-28, Arkansas. Scott Hamilton from the Charleston Post-Courier, he's actually the person that broke the story nationwide about Billy Napier being fired. He joined the show, gave us a preview of South Carolina, Bama. Keith Niebuhr, you just heard from. We have told the story, I know, countless times, but being in the high school circles that you and I are in, it was almost a daily occurrence when some of the top talent that you covered, the top talent that I was covering, and how Auburn would show under Brian Harsin lukewarm. I mean, we're talking about 4- and 5-star kids. We're not talking about, walk-on. We're talking about top of the echelon high school talent in the state of Alabama. And Brian Harsin wouldn't call them. His staff wouldn't call them. They wouldn't make visits. And you're just sitting there going,
no,
what is happening here?
It still makes my blood boil. And whether if you're a fan of Alabama, or Georgia, whatever, but you would understand this. And I realize that the rivalry and the fandom and look who you got. But to have that job, to come into that job with the experience that he had or he didn't have, and to think I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm going to reinvent the wheel, I'm going to do it my way and have success, that is criminal. Criminal.
Very much so.
You think Hugh Freeze's offense right now is criminal? What Brian Harsin did to that program? Criminal. And if you see Alan Green out in public, drop him a note. I said a note.
Not drop him?
Not just drop. No, let's not do that. Let's not promote violence. Fourth hour, live from Social Taco. Next.